What is a real ID really? So, if you have been a good little citizen, you have an ID that has this gold star for your good participation in the upper corner of your ID. Good job. You're a good little minion. I got mine. On the back side of this good boy card, um, I'm not going to show you the back of my ID because um, there's the, well, I can kind of, I think I can do, that much of the back of my ID. There are two barcodes on it. One of them is an old style like grocery scanner code, and the short, the wide and narrow bars, right? The other side is not a barcode. I mean, it's shaped in a bar. It has some vertical lines in it, but when I look at it, it reminds me a lot more of a QR code. Um, and that's important. So this system is keeping things easy for people who scan things and scan people through access points. That's what this Real ID is. It's connected to a computer system, a database that has all of your information that is connected to that database available to people to look. It's possible that the different people that look at it can see different levels of security or different levels of information. I don't know who decides that. I don't know who will decide that in the future. I don't know if it's limited to government personnel. I don't know if it's limited to the auditors of government personnel, if you know what I mean. Wink, wink. We've got this system in place. It's already in place. This computer system has all kinds of information about you. And they're selling you on the ID to make it easy for the people who gain and restrict access to us. That's what that Real ID is about. It's about making that easy for them so that they don't have to click onto a computer and interface with a database. This is going to streamline their interface with the database to see if you are valid or invalid. That's kind of where this is going. I don't know if you've seen the movie Gattaca, but Gattaca is all about valid and invalid people based on what the powers and be have decided is a valid person and is an invalid person. This is pretty close. This is certainly on the way there. So I wanted to talk to you about the Real ID thing here for a couple of reasons. One, this is dystopian and it's horrible and I hate it. Two, I got it. I actually didn't get I applied for a new driver's license in Florida and I just brought the information that they asked for. I didn't realize they were hooking me into the digital ID system in this way at the time. Shame on me. I was a little bit naive there, to say the least. And the thing is, it's actually not going to matter very soon because while this streamlines the process for the enforcers, with the numbers that are on your license, with the numbers that are on your passport, with the numbers that are on anything, very soon this card system is going to be so robust that they're only going to have to do it for a few non-compliant people, and they're going to be grumbly but okay with that because you know we're so obnoxious in not wanting to comply that they're just going to put up with us in their system, and they're going to make everyone behind us wait while they go through the really slow, laborious process of typing out our number, and we're going to feel that prick in the back of our neck that is a feature of being a social creature on Earth, is that we're going to feel the disapproval of the people behind us in line, and so sooner or later we're just going to comply to not go through that feeling anymore. That's how we're being controlled here. They're leveraging our psychology against us in this way, whether they intend to or not. I think they do. This is how it's going to play out for a lot of people. Is they're going to, I mean, think about the one being the person whipping out a checkbook at the grocery stand. How is that person looked upon by all the people waiting behind them, right? There is a social pressure there, whether you want to acknowledge it or not. You should acknowledge it, that we're all social creatures and we do feel these pressures, and that those pressures are being leveraged against us. good social people, want to not be a problem to other people. We're people pleasing in general. Not everyone, obviously, but that's how we got, communities as big as we did, is because we tend to want to be social with other people, and we tend to want to cooperate with other people, and tend to want to have other people like us. This is being leveraged against us through these systems. You don't want to be the slow one. You don't want to be the prickly customer who asks the waiter, who's working there for less than minimum wage, surviving on tips. You don't want to ask that person to go back and get a paper menu, thank you very much, because you don't want to scan a QR code on your phone, right? Or you're one of the people that, oh, a QR code, that's so cool, I can do everything on my phone. Don't get me started on phones and privacy. I'm just talking about our Real ID right now, right? But consider that your phone has an account that's linked to your bank that has been told that they need to have, what do they call it? Know your customer laws. So the banks have to collect more information on bank account holders than they used to. That was done because terrorism. That was the reason. Know your customer. You don't want to be, harboring money for terrorists. So know your customer. Verify the person. So now the banks are holding your accounts based on more information than they used to collect, right? So now there's more information out in the ether that's centralized, coordinated, and connected that anyone can get a hold of if they've got these barcodes and numbers about you. This system, this net, is being set up. You've been coerced and cajoled into complying with these systems. Some of the systems have changed, like the bank system. You now need more information. If you want to change your address with the post office, you now need to provide more information, and that information is going into the database. If you want to set up mail forwarding, you got to do the same thing. So all these systems are being connected, and it's tempting to say, I've got all this information out there. It hasn't impacted me negatively, so why care? Why are you guys moaning about this? We're moaning about this because we see the prison bars and stones being erected in order to create the prison that someone wants us to live in. We can see it clear as day. If you can't, open your eyes, please. Here's another thing. So I'm screwed, right? I got my Real ID here, but I was screwed before that because I used to be a public employee. And when I was a public employee, I had to get fingerprinted for my job. It was a sensitive job. I was going into people's homes. They required fingerprinting for that. I also gave my fingerprints before that because I was doing a little job at a summer camp or a daycare kind of a thing. And because it was with kids, they wanted a full set of fingerprints. These sets of prints are in databases that are accessible to lots of people. And they're connected now to my Real ID. They're connected to my bank account. They're connected to my purchases. They're connected to my phone account, my carrier account. They're connected to all of my accounts. We are already living in the soup of interconnected data that is truly horrifying from a privacy point of view and from a control point of view down the road. We need to understand these control systems for what they are. The solution to these control systems is to not use them. How the heck do we do that? If we've got subscription refrigerators, smart refrigerators, smart vacuum cleaners, smart televisions, smart phones, smart everything. If our job requires us to interface with smart systems when we clock in and clock out, when we fill out reports, when we enter the door, if we've got biometric IDs all over the place, like the prison is set up. All that's needed to implement the prison is for someone to say, hey, these people aren't allowed in here unless they comply with this new thing, right? So if they identify a new thing they want people to comply with, they just put it into the system, and if you haven't complied with that, your access to your bank account, your phone, your money. I mean, I said bank account. Your access to everything, maybe even your job site. You can't access your job until you've complied. They did this already. The trial run was the vaccine passport, right? They did that. And there was a lot of noise about, oh, people are doing counterfeits. We need a better, more robust digital system. And people wanted QR codes. They wanted all these things to be part of a centralized computer system because they wanted to control who was let in and who was let out, right? These are systems of control. We need to know them for what they are. And the solution is to not comply with them. Again, how do we do that? I actually don't have a complete answer. I have a very effective answer that is incomplete, and that is don't comply with the systems. Don't use the systems. Don't rely on the systems for your basic things in life. The difficulty is that a lot of these things have been erected around us, and particularly if we're in any kind of suburban or urban environment, we are dependent on a lot of these systems to get our basic needs met. Even if you're in a rural environment, if you're not actually growing all the food you need to survive, you got a problem. But even if you do, you still have a property tax obligation according to the government. So they'll kick you off your land and take all your stuff away if you don't comply with whatever the new thing is. If you can't see this prison for what it is, again, please open your eyes. We need to come up with new ideas on how to interact with each other and how to compensate each other for services rendered, and how to build community and have friends. It's really the money, quite honestly. It's how do we compensate each other in a money-like way without losing our humanity. Because right now, these systems, this is the loss of humanity. And like pretty soon, they really, really, really won't need the cards anymore. A lot of people are already in the systems. I had a friend come back from Mexico or something like that. This person, I believe, had gone through the fast screening process. I forget what they're calling it. It's the fast lane. If you give us all your information ahead of time, then you can get on the plane faster. You can get through security faster. It's that group. I forget what that scheme was called. But what it did is when he came into the country through customs, he hadn't even had his passport out, and the TSA or is it the TSA? It's customs. Customs enforcement was meeting him already and calling him by his name. He hadn't given them anything other than walking through the door. The facial recognition had clocked his face and told everyone who had access to that system who he was, where he'd been, where he lived, if you had enough access, how much he had in his bank account, right? These systems are in place. They're control systems. And again, if you don't comply with them, they're going to make your life a living hell. And the answer is to not comply with them, to disobey, to do other things, to find a new way of interacting with the people in your life that doesn't involve these systems. How do we do that? I don't know. I'm not a computer nerd. I don't think computer nerdism is our way out of this. I personally think people power is our way out of this, but not enough people recognize this prison for what it is. And that needs to change. Please share this video.